Hello, how are you all doing? How are you all doing, good people? That's my tripod over there. Welcome into the live. Oh my goodness. So many issues over here. Not going to go into that. I gotta look into some other way. But nonetheless, I am here. Happy Friday, all happy Friday. Did not plan to do a live, plan to do a silent live, but that didn't work out well. So I have to do something differently. It may just be my machine. But welcome in, welcome in. Just want to chat for a little bit because the topic, uh, yes. So here I am. Here I am. Hopefully your morning is going well. Hopefully your morning is going well. You've gotten up, you did your routine, you've gotten your kids out of the way if you have kids that are that age that you needed to get up and get them out to get to school and of course get yourself to work, or if you're working from home, hopefully all is going to go well with that. And you had a good night's sleep because that is very helpful, getting a good night's sleep for the next day, which is today, and it is the weekend. But yeah, getting a good night's sleep any night is a good thing, folks, is a good thing. So, what is the topic? It's about college. Is it a good thing financially? It is going to college or having your child go to college. Is that a good thing financially? Is it worth it? What will the return on the investment be? And of course, that depends on what field or what profession or what career they go into. Of course, we know the ones that for the most part, have a good return on your investment if you actually go into that particular area and start to do things with it. We know that some fields are good: nursing, lawyer, doctor, accounting, CPA, those type things. They mostly have a good return, but of course, you have to do work afterwards also into. But those normally have a good return, and we know that there are some other fields that the fields, those professions are needed. However, the return on investment may not appear within 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, 20 years, etc. It just may not be a good return on the investment, especially if you have to borrow money in order to pay back the college loans that you may have gotten. So there you have to consider the amount of money that you took out for a loan, et cetera, however you got the money, whether you got it friends, family, or of course, borrowing from institutions or the government, et cetera, to get the funds. So you got to consider the profession that you're going into or that your child is going into and what the return on investment is going to be. And of course, some of these degrees, they require you to, if you're just going to get a bachelor's, that may not be enough to where you can start making enough money. That is how it is presented to folks, like go back to school and get your master's, and then you will start to make more money. And some people do that, and then that doesn't happen. And then they're like, wow, I got all of the student loan debt now. And then from the first 4 to 5 years for the bachelor's, and now I have the additional loan when I went back to school and got the master's degree, and the return on investment, it did not work out for the first 4 or 5 for the bachelor's, and it may not work out for my getting the master's. So you really have to think about a whole lot of things just within that itself. Also, with regards to after you get out of college and you have the student loan debt, is where you're living, is the state that you're living in, or the city that you're living in. Is that a good place for the particular type of job that you want in the profession that you just went to school for 4 to 5 years for? Is that a good, is the state you're living in, is that good for the particular job that you want? It's possible that you may have to relocate, and some people may not want to do that. Some people probably won't have the funds to do that, especially if you're just getting out 22, 23, and you may still be living with your parents, etc., and all this good stuff. You just don't have the money to move to another state. So a lot of things that the person themselves, if they're thinking, and it's possible that they're not because they're still young and they're just possibly um, going by what things they others have told them. It could be the parents like, okay, K to 12, great. After that, go to college, and then you're supposed to come up with the plan for your life after that. When for all this time, someone else has been kind of sort of telling you what to do next, etc. And you really haven't had time to really think about it. And for parents, you may want to consider how uh, we talk to our children about that if they are still K to 12 going into college. Just a whole lot of things to think about, and make sure that that your child student that your child have input, that you're asking them questions and having them answer back, and making sure that they are thinking critically, etc. Because you don't want to be the person, like I mentioned before, that's telling them, do this, do this, do this. And now they're doing what you're saying because you're the parent and you know things, etc. And then when it all falls down, they get to throw that back in your face. And not that it's so much about that, but you as a parent know that eventually you want your child to get out there, be responsible, be able to take care of themselves. And when that doesn't happen, then it becomes a whole something else. You got a whole nother ball of wax. Now you have a child that got all this education, really not putting it to use, etc. And they are still in your home, and you're having thoughts and feelings about that. And then your friend group, etc. They're looking at like, why is your kid still there, etc., etc. Just a whole bunch of stuff can happen. We have to make sure that our children are in on are in on are fully invested into what they're going to do. If they want to go to college, they know that they need to be doing all the things A to Z with regards to preparing for college, getting all the paperwork together, knowing what field they're going to go in, looking at the information with regards to their career field after they get out, et cetera, et cetera. And you're asking and telling them what things are you going to be doing in between. What is your plan B, C, D, E, F, G? So yeah, we really have to think about, is college financially worth it? Will we put in the time and energy to help our child with college before they actually go to college when they're 10, 11, and 12? And if you have been talking to your child and hyping up college and the importance and the value of having a college degree to your child, from zero to 15, 16, 17, 18, etc., then do you have some uh, do you have some are you kind of sort of, for lack of a better phrase, are you kind of sort of at fault with what it is that you've been telling your child, and now that it hasn't panned out at the end of the 4 years, at the end of their getting a bachelor's, do you hold some responsibility for some of the things that you may have said? You're hyping it up for a long period of time, because it is possible that going to college, being in college, etc., may have worked for us, and we did well after we got out of college. But today's times, it's very different. So we really have to consider if we are being the hype woman or the hype man behind getting our kid into college, because we don't want them to just be out here and having a regular job, etc. We could have some type of complex. I'll just put it there instead of going into depth about it, etc. Of course, letting your child know that they're if they're going to college and you're not able to pay, let them know that upfront. Let them know what it is that you can and cannot do with regards to their college and their plans to go to college, etc. If you tell them that no, I cannot put any money, I will not borrow any money, etc., towards your college or anything like that, let them know that upfront, and let them know well before they get 15, when maybe they have these uh, thoughts about going to college. I was going to say ideas of grandeur, but thoughts about going to college. Make sure that you tell them way in advance, hey, I don't have any money to contribute towards your going to college. I am not going to take out any loans. We aren't going to take out any loans for your college stuff. And then tell them, if you are able to do something, let them know what that is specifically. If they're going away to college, let them know that you will send them a care package each month, or that you will give them $100 each month for living expenses, something or another like that. Let them know what it is that you can do. And then if they go off, please make sure that you do what it is that you said you're going to do. and make sure that you turn them to YouTube because there's a lot of information, videos, etc., with regards to students or folks that have gone to college that may have finished college, some that didn't, but they got into the debt along the way while they were going to college. Make sure you turn them to that and let them know, hey, this is one of the things that can happen. Not to say that that is going to happen to you. Hopefully, you have a good plan so that you don't fall into this particular category. And if you do have to borrow money, know going in what will happen once you are done with college, 6 months or however many months it is afterwards. You're going to have to start paying that loan. If you don't have a job or something to start paying, then that's going to be a little bit problematic. If you're unable to pay at all, that's going to be problematic. Things on your credit report, et cetera, et cetera. So make sure that you let your student know all the things that will happen with regards to student loan debt, private and federal government student loan debt, et cetera. Let them know all of that could happen with regards to that. So yeah, lots of things to consider, lots of things to consider. And of course, we have the folks this year that are going to be graduating, class of 2024 from high school. And it is possible that you've already talked with your student about uh, going to college, etc. And if you have not, then it's kind of like at the last moment, but you still can get across your points if you're going to tell them, I'm not going to be involved in it, etc. This is what I can do, not borrowing any money, etc., etc., etc. But back to, is it worth the investment to the student? So to your child, they've gone to college, they did the 4 or 5 years, um, and now they're out here looking for a job, etc. And that is a whole nother ball of wax because they're not the only person that has this particular degree, etc. And they're going to have to know that there is competition out there, and interviewing for jobs, that's a whole nother ball of wax that they need to know well before, in my opinion, well before they get to college, etc. It's possible that they may have gotten a job or something, another like that. Hello, Alonzo Hall. How are you? How are you? Thanks for coming in. Hello, Sharon Tyman. How are you? How are you? I tried to do a silent live, but that didn't work out. So I'm just bumping my gums. I'm about to move on out of here in just a moment. So yeah, just a lot of things with regards to that. Yes, back to the um, going to interviews and all of that stuff after they get their college degree. That is a whole nother something that they're going to need to know about, and that they may have to go on numerous interviews before they actually get a job. Um, it could be 3, 4, or 5 interviews before they even get the job, and then they could be told at any point along the way that no, you're not it. And then they're going to keep doing it, keep doing these interviews. And then at some point, it may wear on their mental, which is not a good thing. And now, if they don't have a support system and you're their only support system, then you have to deal with that. And not to say that you're not going to, help your child with that. At the same time, you need to, continue with your life, etc. It's just a whole bunch. It is just a whole lot of stuff beyond just going to college and getting the degree that happens in this whole student, the going to college, the financial part of it, the after college, the interviewing part of it, getting a job, possibly moving to another state, maybe another country. Just a whole bunch of stuff in all of it. And then now, after all of that, we have you have to pay the debt back. That presents problems also too. From what I understand, you can't discharge student loan debt in bankruptcy. Who knows? Something may change. We can thank the current president for that. But yeah, it's just a whole lot. It's just a whole lot. The student loan seems like a forever loan. Yeah, it does. And I did print out something. I haven't had a chance to read it because I was trying to do a silent live on this, but what have you. But I don't know. Yeah, it's from CNBC. Biden administration to forgive 1.2 billion in student debt for over 150,000 borrowers. And I know that when they had the fiasco uh, earlier in the year, where the Supreme Court said that the Biden administration couldn't just willy nilly, across the board forgive student loan debt, that they could not do that for whatever the parameters that there were at the time. Then they started something else, which after they said no, I just didn't pay any attention to it. I don't have student loan debt, never had, but they came up with something else, and this may be something of the new thing that they came up with after the Supreme Court said that, oh, goodbye, that's not going to work, President Biden. Hello, Tamika. How are you? Thanks for coming in. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. And from when I read over briefly, um, it's saying that they're going to forgive 1.2 billion in student debt for 153,000 borrowers. And if you borrow, it said if you took out 12,000 or less, you're going to be amongst the folks. And besides borrowing 12,000 or less at the time that you borrowed, if you've been paying on that debt for at least a decade or longer, then you are going to be in amongst the folks that get it. I think this is the preliminary thing. It may change over time because I'm sure that some folks are going to, you know, that got debt that they borrowed more than 12,000 or less are probably going to start calling their congressperson, saying, hey, whatever. I don't know whether he's going to try to make this an executive action, which think he did the last time and it did not work. So we shall see. We shall see. But yeah, there's just a whole lot to the student loan stuff. A lot of people want free college or at least free first 2 years of college. It's just a whole lot of stuff. But if you have a student, and like my main thing on here that I wrote down in my notes was, if you are a parent and you have been hyping up your child with regards to going to college this whole time, from the time they were 0 on up, about college is important, you have to go to college, et cetera, et cetera. It is my hope that you start a 529 or some type of educational savings account for that, because you are the parent, you have been out here, and maybe that was your situation or not, but you have seen things and heard things over the years with regard to student loans, student loan debt for others. You probably have friends, family members that have been caught up in that, their children have been caught up in that, and you don't want that for your student. However, you continue to hype up college is great. You got to go to college. You got to have that sheepskin. You got to have that piece of paper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it just may all fall down. And in your telling the student, like I mentioned prior, you're going to have to tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, just in of itself, with regards to the student loan debt portion of it. Also, you're going to have to tell them, and if they ask, do you have any money saved for me to go to college? And they may ask, how much do you have saved? And hopefully, if your student is tracking and they're wanting to go to college and they're doing their due diligence, finding out information, looking online, seeing the college costs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that is a good thing. And if they're doing all of that and they're asking you the right questions, then they may think something differently. And then they may, on their own, start to look into other avenues of getting what it is that they want after they get out of K to 12. If it isn't college, maybe 2 years, do some type of, maybe get some type of certification in something, or maybe take a whole nother career path for a while so that they can save money and maybe pay as they go along so that they don't have the debt, or they say, okay, I can go into this amount of debt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a child that is diligent and will do the research, will take the time, is knowledgeable, that has that type of drive and is motivated, self-motivated to do that. Sometimes it is possible that as parents, we want the best for our kids. And if we see other people that have children that have gone to college and they are doing well, et cetera, then okay, it can happen for my kid. It is possible that it may not happen for your kid. And it is what it is. If you're unable to afford it, then you're unable to afford it. Just wait and be honest with your student about, be honest with your child about that. Hey, I can't afford it. Like I mentioned before, I'm unable to pay for anything with regards to you're going to college. I am not going to take out any loans. I am not going to do any of that. Or we aren't going to take out any loans. I can't assist you in any way. I have not taken out. I have not been putting away money in a 529 or an educational savings account for your college. You are on your own. Hello, Kirby Key. How are you? How are you? Thanks for coming in. Proud Mixed Child. How are you? How are you? Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Yeah, 12,000 will maybe get you through one semester nowadays. Yes, it is. College is very expensive. College is very expensive. And yeah, really have to be talking to your student. Glad you're doing all right, Proud Mix. You really have to be talking to your child about college and all the things. And like I mentioned before, YouTube is a great resource so that they can see the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And I know it's probably more people with an unfavorable um, position now that they've gone through it and gotten the student loan debt out here on YouTube. And your child needs to see all of that also too. They need to see all of that they do. Is it a return on your investment? And is it a good return on your investment or the child's investment, etc.? What would be the timeline? And I put five, I think I put 5 years in the description box. And that's just me personally. Something needs to happen after 5 years. You need to be, so your child will need to be working diligently, trying to get that good job, etc. If you put money in, this is probably going to be your thinking as a parent. Okay, you paid maybe all of it or a majority part of the college expenses for your child, i.e., the tuition, and if you had them go off and live, in the dorms, etc., the room and board, all of that good stuff. You're going in my brain. This will be me. Like, okay, within 5 years, you need to be doing something to where um, you're making lots of money, to where the return on the investment for myself, even though your child isn't going to give you the money back, you're like, okay, that was money well spent. That was money well spent to get them through college, and now they're out here and they're making 150K, 250K within 5 years of their getting out of school. So your child is doing great, and you know that they're good, they're set up, and hopefully they won't be coming back home. Hopefully they know how to manage their money well, so that they don't get all of this money and then just go crazy with buying and all this other stuff. So yeah, and that's why I put is 5 years as a is it a good return on your investment of spending the money for the college, etc. Investing in anything is always a roll of the dice. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the other part that I mentioned prior was, your child having to go on interviews, and that is a whole nother political. Everything is political in my brain. Everything that is a whole nother game that they have to play in all of this to get a job. Of course, they have to go and ask someone for a job. So it's possible that maybe they want to do something entrepreneurial, and that is good if they can parlay what they have learned at college into something into into something entrepreneurial, working for themselves, etc. Maybe having a regular job and then doing, this side gig, this side job that they going to use their talents and knowledge that they got while they were in college for the side hustle, etc. So lots of ways. But you definitely, if I'm contributing, if I'm contributing money towards something like that, then yeah, I'm going to be expecting my kid to have some type of return on investment. But also, and too, as a parent, it is my hope that I would want to give them lots of information. I want to be in the know, give them good guidance, and we're talking and communicating all the time, well before they even set foot, into school, into the college, etc. All of that good stuff. All of that good stuff. So that's about it, folks. That's about it. So if you have a child that is going to be going off to college, or they are still in K to 12 and you've been hyping them up about college, make sure that you have a 529 plan or some another like that. And who knows, your child may decide down the road when they're 15 or 16 or 17 that college is not for them, and that is good. Then maybe you can take, they're still going to need direction because they're still going to be living at home with you, etc. But they're going to need some direction for part two. I said part two, when they're 18 and they're adults and they can do things outside of, your guidance, whatever it is that you say, et cetera, et cetera. But then that gets a little bit tricky for some of the old school. If you're living under my roof, some things will still apply type thing. So yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot. But yeah, the new thing on the street is the Biden administration to forgive 1.2 billion in student loan debt, and per the article, is going to cover, or the articles where the title says 150,000. In the article, it says 153,000, but that is only if you took out $12,000 or less and you have been paying the student loan back for a decade or longer, will you be able to participate in this program. And like I said, this is fairly new, so things may change as the days and weeks go by. Because, like I mentioned, some folks will be complaining about it. Well, I borrowed $13,000. Why can't I get in there? There's some other waivers, etc. But who knows? But yeah, that college thing is a major piece for folks. And of course, if you're going into the fields like STEM, and that's getting kind of iffy, depending because we they have been having layoffs, etc. With, within I'll just say the STEM field, computer, yeah, the computer sciences, etc. Just depends. Like I said, you may have to move all of these other things in order to get the job that you want in the profession that you went to school for also too. But if you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, probably any type of doctor, lawyer, nurse, accountant, CPA, and a whole host of others, even in the STEM, etc., then it's probably good taking out the possibly good taking out the student loan debt, because you know that in the end, if you apply yourself and you got to do the same things, get the job. Of course, we get it. Sometimes it is in who you know when you can just get the job readily, etc., etc. But yeah, that is a whole nother thing. But you know that you're going to make enough money to where you can pay the student loan thing back. Let's get these pop ups. Yeah. So just be careful with what it is that you're showing and telling your child if they are going to go off to college, and you put that in. Like I said, if you hyped it up and put that in their head, then then and they were like, okay, I don't have to do anything but um, graduate high school and then go on to more schooling, and we get a teacher with a different name, and I have some freedom because I'm 18 now, and it's possible I'm not living at home with mom, and I can do a whole host of other things. We got to remember that these are still our children. Their brains aren't fully formed yet, and we have to make sure that we. There's a lot of talking, a lot of communicating that needs to happen, and of course, your child. You've been with them, him or her, from 0 to 18, and you know how they are. But then when they get away from you, it could be something different. But nonetheless, yeah, please make sure that if you want your child to go to college, etc. I know that some of these 529 plans, you can do a whole host of different things besides just straight college, etc. I think some allow you to utilize some, I think, of the funds in your 529. I guess if your child don't go to college, then you still have that money there. Then they have added some other things that you can utilize the money. I think you can utilize it for home down payment, of course, trade school, etc. All these other things, or just other, because if your child doesn't want to go to school, then none of the money is going to be used for that. Then it is still your money that you put in, and any interest or any savings or interest that has accrued in the account, then yeah, just be very careful. Just be very careful how you talk to your child about college and 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 things such as that. All the things, all the things, all the things. And my thing is trying to go down. So I am going to end this live stream before my power quits, folks. Thank you all so much for being here. Proud Mix, Curvy Key, Shantirement. Thank you so much for being here. Tamika, I do appreciate it. Alonzo Hall, the also advisor. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. Get off this whole mess. All right, thank you so much. Please have a great rest of your day, folks. Have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend. Happy Friday. Take care. Bye bye.